Hi, I'm attorney Greg Dell, joined by attorney Stephen Jessup. And Stephen, we have the opportunity to discuss one of your recently resolved success stories against New York Life. And in these videos, we like to talk about the background of the case, what you were able to do to get benefits reinstated, and then provide some tips for people so that if they find themselves either denied or they're looking to protect their benefits, that they know what we do and how we'd be able to assist them. So give us the background of this case.
Yeah, so my client, he worked for a company, Winpak, and what they do is, packaging for food industry stuff and things along those nature. He was manager director within one of their plants, so his predisability occupation was heavy in nature. Had issues with his back, lower back, thoracic, spine, prior surgery in the lumbar spine. That's what took him out on disability. And true to form with New York Life, the first 2 years under the own occupation period, they paid his benefits. But leading into that review into could he do any occupation, they did one singular file review and then determined he could do sedentary work and denied the claim.
So he was physically on the floor of a manufacturing plant.
Correct. In charge of not only like implementing the process of everything going on, but being able to handle all the different parts of the machines and everything.
All right, and just so people understand, so they paid him for the 2 years because that was own occupation,
Correct.
and then New York Life and their group policies commonly has a change of definition to unable to perform duties of any occupation for which you have experience, education, and training, and sometimes they have an income component, which says that a job of any occupation must be one that pays at least 60% of what he was earning. They often ignore that and just
Well, it's an interesting thing because they have two different policies they write in the any occupation where it's either and or an or statement. I know this because there's an issue I litigated recently, and his policy had the and. So the opinion of the insurance company is that if he doesn't meet the first criteria, unable to do the duties of any occupation, they don't have to consider the financial aspect because you need both to be able to it. So if you don't meet one, you get none kind of thing. So that's what they did here as well. They just basically found sedentary jobs that would not have met the income component and determined that he was, able to work in a sedentary occupation. Therefore, he's no longer disabled.
well, they don't hit the income component because they're saying you could do any job. It doesn't matter how
Exactly. It's a
much.
real weird nuance because they have two ways of writing that language in the policy. So it is something to be aware of, the way they define that.
Okay, and then they did their classic paper review, which means they just reviewed the claim with their in-house doctors or someone they hired to just review the medical records and say, okay, we think you can go do some kind of any occupation. Did they do a voc review as well?
They did. They did voc review and an internal, medical review.
Okay, so what did you do in order to get benefits reinstated?
One of the biggest things, from a standpoint of what we did proactively, his doctor support was good, but hesitant, I think is the best way to put it. And we see that happen a lot where doctors don't necessarily want to get involved. So there's a matter and a process of educating the doctors about what their involvement in the case may be, especially with regards to litigation. But the first thing we did was really look into this idea of his functional, ability. Prior lower back surgery, thoracic problems, lumbar radiculopathy, very well documented, a lot of objective evidence. So, we did have him undergo a functional capacity examination so we could get an idea of what his physical capabilities were according to the Department of Labor standards, which came back that he wouldn't be able to sustain full-time sedentary work due to restrictions from his lower back. But then with that, we also worked up, attending physician statements tailored to, those aspects of the functional capacity examination and also trying to, discredit the reviewing doctor's opinion.
And I know a lot of the detailed work that we do on these appeals is that communication back and forth between the treating doctors, taking any additional testing that's done and having the claimant present it again to the doctor with our guidance and also our custom attending physician statements, which are basically like our deposition of the doctor for purposes of presenting the evidence to the insurance company. Because as you know, and a lot of claimants don't know, is that this is the only opportunity to present evidence to not only the disability company, here being New York Life, but if the case is denied on appeal, there's no other evidence that can ever come in court. So you have to get everything to anything in now, which is why we go and do everything possible during the appeal stage, as opposed to someone who tries to just do their own appeal and then finds out later, what do you mean I can't put in this other additional evidence? So super important to do what you did.
Yeah, then also during that time too, he was awarded, during the pendency of the appeal, he was awarded Social Security disability. After we submitted his appeal, that award came through. We submitted that immediately. The strong evidence in support of disability. But this case had some nuances that don't typically see in the majority of cases, and that being mainly this idea of how long the insurance company had, how long New York Life had to make the review. So they wanted a copy of the Social Security file. So they put in a period of tolling, which told the 45-day review. We were able to get them what they wanted, the claim file. And then they issued a new letter saying, hey, these are the deadlines. They took an extension, all of that stuff. We were waiting. We figured Social Security's been approved. They already sent them the overpayment letter without making a decision on the appeal, but they blew the 90-day deadline. So to preserve legal rights that he had, we filed a lawsuit under ERISA for failure to make a timely decision on it, because we didn't do anything to cause additional tolling of time for them to consider. So we had to file a lawsuit on it. Now, during the pendency of the lawsuit, New York Life finally did come and turn around and approve the claim.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing where you have to hold their feet to the
Yeah.
fire. And what we realize, and especially the claimants want their lawyer to realize, is that this particular claimant was getting paid. First of all, this claimant goes out of work for 2 years. They're on disability. They're already getting a reduction in their income. Then their benefits get cut off. Then you have 180 days to submit an appeal, which may not take that long, but if it does, then it gets to the company. They're supposed to make a decision in 45 days, possibly can take another 45-day extension. Now it's 90 days. Now you're going on 9 months, basically, where the claimant hasn't been paid at all. And then they want to play games and be like, we're going to take longer. So here you're like, no, we're not doing that anymore. You have violated the law now. You didn't comply with the time frame. We're suing you. You sued them. And very quickly after they got the lawsuit, they basically said, we're going to go ahead and pay benefits. Can you dismiss the lawsuit?
Pretty much.
So congratulations on a great outcome. I know you'll continue to monitor this claim for this claimant, which means be the voice with the carrier to review all the medical records, address the claimant statements, the attending physician statements. Any communications from the company will only go through you and our office. And so the claimant can focus on taking care of his medical condition. We'll take care of making sure that the benefits continue, as much as we can do to get New York Life, in this case, all the evidence that they need to continue to pay benefits. So if you're someone out there with a New York Life claim, feel free to reach out to Steven or myself. No matter where you live in the country, we're available to assist you, and we will always provide you with an initial free phone consultation.